Hello and welcome to my channel Simply by Veronica. Please join me on my journey of decorating, refinishing furniture, motherhood, and so much more. Hi everyone, today I'm working on this beautiful desk. It's all oak and stamped or solid oak desk. And it needs quite a bit of TLC, it needs some trim added, and it needs overall sand, full-on sand. Obviously the drawers lightly sanded, but I really like to keep, especially in the working spaces, the tops stained and sealed so that way they can take a lot of wear. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead, take you with me for the ride and see how it turned out. To begin this project, I started by removing all the hardware. I will not be keeping this hardware, so straight in the trash it goes. Since I am replacing hardware and a new one required 2 holes instead of 1, I filled previous holes with wood putty. After letting them dry for about a day, I lightly sanded all the drawers to get them ready for paint. Here I go and removing hardware drawer by drawer and filling it up as I go. It did take me 2 tries to, well, first time I filled it, once it dried it kind of sunk in and I lightly sanded it, and then I filled it up all again and ended up sanding it, and that's when I got the nice and smooth finish. Also, I'm going over all the spots and imperfections that desk have had, and I mean it's a very old piece of furniture, so it did have a lot of wear and tear. And I'm starting to sand the top using 40 grit sandpaper. It also did have a lot of deep grooves that were hard to get out, so slowly I graduated to 150 grit sandpaper, but like I said, I started with the 40 because it was quite hard to get things out. Another issue I ran into with this piece is that it was missing top part of the trim. It did have 2 pieces, so it was kind of easy to measure. By removing those 2 pieces, I measured exactly what size they were, and the last one I pretty much measured it and placed it myself. But it wasn't very hard thing to do. I mean, afterwards I also fill it, using nail gun, staple it in, and I did use also a wood glue just so it stays nice and sturdy in. Once I was done working on the top portion of the trim, there were also a couple pieces of the legs. Each leg had kind of 2 pieces of wood put together, and then top portion came off on 2 pieces, so I went ahead, glued it, and using nail gun stapled it. And just to secure all the pieces, I went ahead and used nail gun all over the places, just because a few spots were quite loose, so I just went ahead and stapled it so it creates better durability and won't cause me any trouble later. Also guys, if you do have a time, please comment below and let me know what is your favorite and least favorite part of refinishing furniture. For me, I definitely don't like doing all the little fixes. I think they're so time consuming sometimes, and it's just quite annoying to do them. And sanding, oh my gosh, sanding is quite annoying, but the best part about sanding is seeing when a piece finally comes alive. You know, you see all the blemishes come off, all the crayons come off, all the markers come off, you know, whatever issues it had or grooves. It's nice to see it finally come off. But my favorite thing to do is to paint. um, I guess painting it and then putting the hardware on afterwards, just to seeing the piece like getting closer to that finish line, is my favorite part. It's the most exciting part, and you know, seeing the finished product is just very exciting in my opinion. And as I was talking, I did not mention to you, but you guys probably noticed I was finally sanding the drawers. You know, scuff sanding them so the paint adheres to them better. And I am going over right now with the 150 grit sandpaper. It's my last and final step before starting to paint. As you can see, the top of the desk looks nice and clean, and it looks, you know, brand spanking new, so it's getting ready for that stain. And last but not least important part is to scuff sand all over the desk, all over all the parts that I filled, just so you know it's ready for paint. Just like for the drawers, it's easier to bond the paint to the piece itself. And I don't know, maybe my OCD kicked in or something. I went ahead and slightly sanded the top one last time. And in the areas that you guys are unable to reach well, you know, when you filled it with the wood putty, it's actually pretty easy to scuff it up and sand it by hand. It's not hard at all. So just use a sandpaper or whatever like leftover piece that you have that you don't need anymore. Just use that all over those areas and you should be just fine. And here I am preparing the furniture for the stain. I went ahead and wiped it with a damp cloth all over, and I'm starting to stain it with the dark walnut color. And I go over with that it's almost like a white wash stain, I believe it's called. I go with the walnut first, and then I go with the wash stain, and then I go with the walnut again, just so it has that like you know, warmth to it and variation, and like it looks like the old-time wood look. And you guys, guess what time it is? It's time to paint. And oh, and you can see my 1.5-year-old coming to whine as I'm, you know, for attention as I'm trying to do some work. But he was totally fine, I assure you. And he had his daddy to watch him. But I used a very little brush to make nice strokes, and so I don't smudge paint all over the place. I just like to have the finish look like, you know, it was bought at the store, like, you know, as perfect as possible. Not that it mattered much because this piece was a rustic piece, but still, like I said, my OCD kicks in and I have to get crazy with the brush. So I'm going ahead and doing all the, you know, with the little brush, all the places I'm not going to be able to do with the big brush without smudging. And I am using, it is a chalk paint by Rust-Oleum, and it's called Linen White. I have never used Rust-Oleum before, but I did like it quite a bit. I did think that it was a little thicker paint wise. It wasn't as easy to brush it on. It was, I mean, it was fresh paint. It wasn't, you know, like when you look at it, it just looks like any other paint. But what I mean by it is like the brush stroke themselves weren't as easy as any other chalk paint I used. But the coverage was great. So that's, I guess, what matters in the end, right? The second coat application for this piece went a lot smoother. It was easier to drag the brush, and you know, it was not the same as it was the first time, the first application. But I noticed that once I was putting the paint on the drawers, it was much easier to apply on those than it was on the than it was on the desk itself. Maybe because the surface is smaller, but yeah, it was way easier. And here I'm putting the second coat on the drawers, and like as you see, I put it on the inside of the plate of the front of, and then on the outside of plate of the drawer, so that way it has a cohesive look, and you cannot see on the inside the places that I filled. So that way it looks like it was like that before, like it was meant to be. So you guys, looking on the inside of the drawers, they were fine, but there was some staining in them that I couldn't get out, and I don't know, it just felt like something was missing. So I figured maybe I'd add some additional design to it. So I used like a wallpaper, you know, that sticky paper that I used it on the inside of the drawers, and I feel like it made such a difference. It made it look nice and fresh and clean, as opposed to, you know, you open the drawer and staring at all those stains that were left by previous owners. And you guys, I feel like it was totally worth it. That whole roll cost like, you know, $5 and maybe like 80 cents, and I didn't even use half of it, so that means that I will have plenty of it to use on other projects. And just a little background about this desk. I was browsing on Facebook one night, and I saw people wanting to get rid of a bunch of furniture, and you know, it wasn't really anything interesting. It was like a super old office chair and other. And I was like, whoa. And then I scrolled through the pictures and I see this desk, and it just was like, whoa, that's beautiful. Well, I contacted them, and they're like, oh, there's tons of people interested, can you come get it? But knowing my luck, I did not have a means at the time to go get it. I was with the kids, my husband had to work late, and you know, obviously I can't just leave my kids and go get the piece. So I ended up reaching out to the lady in the morning, and my sister watched the kiddos while my husband and I went and got it. And I was so glad that I took my husband with me because the piece was quite heavy. So we loaded it up and I was ready to do some projects to it. It was a flipped piece of furniture that I did. I mean, I am trying out this new additional income thing to where, you know, if anything that I need extra or the household needs that I can provide, I feel like it gives such a power to a stay-at-home mom or dad to be able to provide for themselves or for the family as well. You guys will see me here using its black wax, and I'm pretty much doing a glazed look, and it's such a nice and easy way to do the old look or like aged look to the furniture, and it gives such a character to it. And I applied very lightly every which way, and as I go I lightly wipe it as well. But yeah, I went ahead and used it all over the piece. See how I kind of spread it out, so that way, you know, it's not too much, because as you can see in some spot, if you leave it like that, it will look quite dark. This this wax cures in about a week to 21 days. So for obviously best result before like doing any heavy use to it or anything, it's a good idea to probably wait at least a week before using it. And it's this wax I've never ever tried before, but I came across it on Amazon by an accident. I was looking for wax, and I've been watching a lot of people do this refinishing furniture with Jolie paints, and I ordered this wax thinking I could use it for a glazed look without realizing it was Jolie paint. And you guys, I must say they are incredible. Like their wax is incredible. I cannot wait till I'm able to afford to try their paint. Oh my goodness, I feel like if the wax is that good, the paint must be amazing. So now this piece is mostly done. As you can see, I'm finally putting on the hardware, and I'm super excited to stage it, decorate it, and you know, list it for sale. I went ahead and ordered this hardware from Amazon. Got Amazon everything nowadays, right? But for 10 piece it was $11, so can't go wrong there. I mean, you go to a hardware store like Home Depot or Lowe's, and they're usually almost $4 to $6 a piece. So having to buy 10 of them for that price, I mean, that's a steal. Absolutely a no-brainer there. But it looks slightly shiny, but it's actually matte finish, which I thought was perfect for the type of look I was going with this rustic desk. You guys, as I'm concluding this piece and it's finally coming together, I came across a quote, and it reads, "If you're working on something you really care about, you don't have to be pushed." And it kind of makes sense, right? Because if you really care about it, it drives you, right? So let whatever it is that you care about drive you to be a better person or to do better at any sort of project or opportunity you have. And you guys, it's finally time to take a look at it before. Not horrible, but you know, outdated. And here I am staging it for the final reveal. It's a rustic farmhouse, shabby chic little desk, and I couldn't be more proud of how it turned out. You guys, please comment, give me thumbs up, share and subscribe. That would help me a ton, and I will see you in the next one. And please, please don't forget to tell me what you think of the piece. Thank you guys. Have a good week.